Welcome to What the Hell. On this is the third part of talking with Johnny Skelton, and we go over leadership in the military and communication, and we W that what happens after we get out of the military, and the big difference, and what kind of skills that we learned after the fact of our military career and everything. And hopefully this helps anybody. And thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you want. Comment. Yeah, you can do nasty, nothing like stupid hate crime stuff, but you can say nasty stuff to us and how ugly we are or something like that. All right, thank you everybody. Enjoy the rest of the show.
What the hell just happened? We're like, dude, it would be in your best interest if you just come up and have a beer. Just one beer, that's all we want. You know, he's like, oh, okay. He ended up being a halfway decent guy. It's just, just you're an outside person,
Yeah.
So I mean, and it's just like the inter-service rivalries, It's like my dad was a career Navy guy. I'm an Army guy. My son's an Army guy. We don't watch the Army-Navy game together.
That bad?
Yeah, dude. It's.
We'll have you over to my brother-in-law's. We go actually all out, but they're all Navy.
Yeah. See, I co-hosted an event at Buffalo Wild Wings this year for the game.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm vice commander of the American Legion Post here.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the Thomas Fowler American Legion Post number 169 here in Wichita Falls, Texas. There's a shameless plug right there. But we had some Air Force, we had one Marine, a couple of Army guys, and we, our Marine, he had to serve as the de facto Navy guy because his paychecks are still signed by the Department of the Navy. But
no, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
It was so funny. It's like,
but,
Marine Corps. You mean Navy, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're part of you're the Department of the Navy that gets to play with guns.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I'm like, yeah, okay. But like my dad and I, it's on our bucket list is to go to the Army Navy game in person.
Yeah.
My dad has always stated this. He goes, we'll go to the game together, but we're sitting on opposite sides of the fucking field. And I'm like, bet that is a deal right there.
I researched how much it's like $1,000.
It'll be definitely something that.
That's just for the tickets.
Yeah. I mean, then not to mention hotels.
Yeah.
But
and you have to get all that stuff in advance.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna go. I was gonna go one year. I was gonna take a loan out of my 401k.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, let's go this year. I was like, and then I did a little research. It's like, hey guys, Kenny's TV is just as good.
Yeah, I mean, but that's one of those.
It's a bucket list.
It's a bucket list thing, and I definitely want to go because, like, my dad, crusty ass old sailor, I mean, he'll sit over there and just give those midshipmen shit just for being soft. He's like, back when I was in the Navy, bro,
Yeah.
like you don't fucking wash the chief's coffee cup, It's like, yeah, but me. Infantry, we haven't had a filter since 1776. I will get over there and be like, "Who's fucking infantry?" We'll be out there just raising all kinds of hell.
Yeah.
And I mean that's definitely something that I want to see. My oldest and I, we got to actually watch Army play in the Armed Forces Bowl a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
When they annihilated the University of Houston, like 70-14. We actually got to, the fourth quarter, we walked around to the Army side.
Oh, nice.
And where the band was. And we got to take the field.
Oh, wow.
At the end of the game. And when all zeros on the scoreboard at the end of the game, we ran down. And we ran, and we got to sing first with Army, went over, sang first with Houston, and then we got to run back, and we got to sing second with Army.
Oh, wow.
Dude, you want to talk about badass. I mean, that was an amazing experience, for like me and my son.
Yeah.
Two infantry veterans just hanging out with these West Point guys, and this was it was one of the years that we beat Navy. And we would just like some of the seniors, I've got a pair of lineman gloves in my closet. one of the seniors gave me his gloves, his football
nice.
gloves. You know, it's one of the ones where you go like that, and it's got the school insignia there. And I'm like, dude, I mean, they're a little bit loose on me, but this dude's hands were fucking massive, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, if you're gonna be in the infantry, you're gonna have to be crouched a lot, you know. But and it's like, you know, we're sitting there just like, you know, dude, we want to thank you guys for beating Navy this year. And he's like, yeah, why is that? And it's like, dude, my dad is Army Navy guy, 20 years, retired Navy, and I got tired of fucking listening.
Yeah,
to
but they
him.
had like 10 years.
And dude, it was like it was 13 years.
Was it 13?
It was 13 or 14 years, depending on what gas station you walk out of. But you know, there was a long streak there where Navy would just consistently take, and it wasn't like they were just outplaying us. It was, I mean, sometimes there would be like mistakes, like where we fumbled on the goal line, you know, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
but,
that's the same thing that's been happening with the Navy.
You know, but this year,
God, I hate that freaking interception.
This year, 15-0. Are you kidding me?
Dude, I literally almost broke my freaking wrist because I was so pissed off of that fumble.
You know, I mean, but it's like, you know, like I have a TikTok channel, so it's like, you know, and on my TikTok channel, I do a lot of like rucking videos and stuff, you know, talking about enhancing the core and, you know, talking about suicide awareness and things like that. And, I would do these weekend safety briefings like with my kids, and I'd have my two boys involved with it, you know, like talking about don't add to the population, don't subtract from the population. You know, and Army Navy week, I was like, always check on your battles. This week, check on your Navy battles, because West Point is going to put the smack down. We're going to whoop that ass, you know. And like the day after the game, I had to go do a ruck. It was cold as shit. One of my buddies, he's a Marine. You met him, Stephen Underhill.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, Stephen, he don't want to talk about the game today. He's like, nope. You know, and then, you know, like Army Air Force week, you know, which was just really weird having to watch another game after the Army Navy game, but damn, 2020 being what it was. But, you know, it was just like, you know, this week, check on your Air Force battles, because Army's going to whoop that ass too. You know, and that was a closer game. You know, I mean, the Army Navy game was close, but I mean, the scoreboard didn't reflect the effort on the field. But that Army, I mean, I was legitimately worried that Air Force was going to pull that off, because I was mentally prepared to be pissed off that entire week. Because I was like, no, you know, because we live in an Air Force town, so I mean, a lot of the guys that are here are retired Air Force, and a majority of my friends are, you know, retired Air Force. And I really didn't want to listen to it. You know, I was prepared to be completely salty and just be like,
see, I don't want to watch Air Force compete in football anymore, because they every time I watch it, it's like the first time I started watching it and everything like that. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I was like, it's like having a hot chick and finding out she's just a dead leg.
It's like decaffeinated coffee. I posted a meme this morning on my timeline. Is this old Chinese monk, you know, it's just like decaffeinated coffee is like a hooker that just wants to cuddle.
Oh God.
Yeah, you know. But I texted my girlfriend that, and she goes, "Hey, I drink decaf. I drink unleaded sometimes." And I'm like, you know, damn it, you know. But I mean, she knew I was kidding, and I knew she was kidding. But you know, it's like, you know, you get that inter-service rivalry just like you do inter-branch, you know. It's like, okay.
Or even just any kind of opposition of any kind of combat.
Yeah.
Not combat, but competitive.
Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, infantry, we've got a term for everybody who's not infantry. Call them pogues. People other than grunts. And for a while there, you know, it's like, oh, you know, you're just a pogue, whatever, shut up, you know. Yeah. But, you know, you get these pogues, man, you know, these non-infantry, these non-combat MOS type people, they're like, they just get butthurt, man, and they just try to come back and be salty as shit. And it's like, you know what? You wouldn't have lasted a damn day. You know, and I don't want to sound like one of those old vets, but it's like, You know, some of the people that are in nowadays, they just would not last. You know, back whenever we were able to say whatever the hell we wanted.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously you couldn't drop a racial slur.
Oh yeah.
I mean that was never acceptable. But you know, and you know, but it's like, you know, and that was, you know, that's another thing too. It's like, you know, you get all these people that I'm talking about. You know, I'm a black soldier. Like, no, motherfucker, you're a soldier. You know, it's like, you're not white, you're not black, you know, you're not Asian, you're not fucking, you know, you're not Native American. You bleed red. As far as I'm concerned, you're green.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, I mean, my best friend, you know, like I dropped his name earlier, Mikey Lopez. He's Hispanic, and to me, he's just a brother from another mother. I mean, literally.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't give a crap where you came from. I don't care what your skin color is. You were a good soldier, and you know, you were a soldier. You wear that uniform. You're a brother. You know, if I surfed with you, chewed dirt with you, we drank together, we got into trouble together, we got smoked together, whatever. You know, you're family, and I will, you know, I will jump in front of a bus to throw you out of the way just as much as I would anybody else, you know. I mean, and this is going to be the most probably charged statement of the episode, but I'm still waiting for that white privilege check to come in.
Fuck yeah.
You know, and it's not a race thing. I mean, it's like, you know, to me, I mean, to borrow a line from Full Metal Jacket, there's no racial bigotry in the military. You know, I look down on everybody equally. You are all equally worthless. You know, it's like, you know, I think about like 50 or 60% of the company where I went, Delta Company, when I first got there. Not to be confused with Delta Force. Never said I was an operator. I'm talking about Delta Company, second 327.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you
never
very much.
badass.
You know, when I first reported to my unit, I think about 50 or 60% was Hispanic.
Yeah.
You know, and didn't bother me a damn bit.
Well, I had a, I think he was Nigerian, but he was from France.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, you know, I mean,
But he
I mean, to a degree,
he was actually an asshole.
yeah. I mean, and to a degree,
But
yeah. I mean, I experienced a little bit of bigotry towards me. You know, I'm a white kid coming from Texas.
yeah.
You know, somebody like, oh, you from Texas? You just think you're better. I'm like, no. Well, one, I know I'm better than you because I'm from Texas. But
Yeah.
you know,
It's all right. I come from the great nation of Texas.
Yeah,
it's not a nation; it's a state. Okay.
Yeah. We were never officially named a state. We allowed the United States government to annex us. Thank you very much. You know, but
Which is story.
which is why, fun fact, everybody, the state flag is the only flag in the country that can fly at the same level as the United States flag. So thank you. Do your homework. Anyway, so, you know, I had to kind of go out of my way a little bit to kind of prove that I wasn't the stereotype, you know, white kid coming from Texas, racist towards Hispanics. It's like, I don't give a shit if you're brown. I don't give a shit if you're black. Speaking of which, that's my oldest kid right there. But I will text him later. Anyways, he, you know, I mean,
well, we've been going around about that.
Yeah, we have. You're gonna have to do some editing, or this is gonna be a really damn nice long episode.
No, I don't. I just get the front and the back.
Oh, okay.
It's not like this.
Oh, okay. So the podcast for people with short attention spans.
Yeah. I don't do like 13. I did the whole spill.
Yeah.
All the messed up stuff. I mean, a lot of people just
even
care.
the bloopers, like when you walked out of here to go answer the door.
Yeah.
That'll be in there too.
Yeah.
But God, I'm glad I didn't rip a fart in the middle of all that. But you know.
But yeah, I'll keep it in.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah.
You got to use the restroom. I'll just have to talk to myself for the entire time.
It's raw. Yeah, exactly. But
I'll spit.
You know, it's like the. You know, as far as like the infantry is concerned, I mean, do I think that it takes a special breed. You damn ass right, absolutely. You know, I think it takes a special breed to be a grunt. You know, do I think anybody can do it? To a degree, yes and no. Don't get me started on the whole women being in the infantry thing. Good Lord, I don't want to blow up your comment section.
Yeah.
But, you know, all I'm going to say to that part is that I'm old fashioned.
Yeah.
You know, but as far as, you know, infantry versus other job titles or other, you know, other specialties in the military, you know, you can't win a war from the air.
Yeah.
You know, so you need guys on the ground, and that's what grunts are for.
I don't know. With the A-10, you probably could.
Why do you think the A-10 was created? It was created to support grunts.
Yeah, I know.
You know, but... And you're going to get those fact checkers. Well, actually, it's an anti-tank platform. Shut up. It is a dual...
There's a lot of things that are supposed to be like anti-vehicle that's used, like a javelin.
Or a 50 cal.
Yeah.
It's in the Geneva Convention. Check it out.
Yeah.
But it's like, we weren't engaging the troops. We were shooting at his canteen. You know, it's like, you needed armor-piercing incendiary rounds for that? That reactive armor for that canteen cup, I'm telling you, Sarn.
Yeah.
But,
or using a javelin to get up a sniper or a person that's in a sniping position.
Yeah, we were taking out his, we were taking out his base.
Yeah.
Shooting his tree stand down. But,
motherfucker was taking away my deer.
Tree stand. Jesus Christ. What is you hear this? You like, fuck. You know, it's like, you're not going to have reaction time. It's like, what the hell? You know, next thing you know, you got St. Peter looking at you going, you know you fucked up, right?
Yeah.
You know, right. But, you know, it's, you know, there's, you know, I loved being in the infantry. Loved it. I mean, I would go back yesterday if they asked me to. I really would. You know, best, worst job I ever had in my life. I mean, I know that that's was a line from the movie Fury.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's true, man. I mean, it's like grunts walk a little bit differently than everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, you get your Rangers. They got a Ranger strut. You get your grunt struts. I mean, they're basically the same thing. You know, Rangers just walk with their knuckles a little closer to the ground. But, you know, when you start getting up into your special operations guys, like the Green Berets and your operators,
yeah, most
your
tier
SEALs,
ones.
They tend to be a little bit more humble about things. And that's just because, you know, their jobs almost kind of demand that.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Rangers and just basic infantry, you know, or big army infantry rather, I mean, that bravado is almost kind of required, you know, and then I think a lot of that too is kind of a coping mechanism, kind of like our dark humor. And, you know, it just helps us kind of cope with the realities of our job.
Yeah. Because most of the infantry and rangers, it's like a small amount of tactical going in, but you're going into a shitstorm. But with tier 1, there's like 9 months of training for an extraction.
Yeah. You know, I mean, they know that they're going to walk into a shitstorm, but they're going to walk in with 9 or 10 months of training behind it.
Yeah.
You know, and these you know, I mean, they're very, very surgical. Whereas if you go in big army style.
Yeah, one's a hammer, one's a
one's a scalpel, yeah. I mean, you're going to walk in with a 10-pound sledgehammer, and you're just going to swing. Yeah. And, you know, yeah, I mean, there's times with big army stuff that you've got to be pretty pinpoint accurate, but, you know, especially when you're calling in like artillery strikes, you know, or air strikes.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know, but, I mean, you're still doing that with rather large munitions. You know, I mean, you're making your presence absolutely known. Versus these tier 1 guys and, you know, these operators, you know, they go in there and they're just like, you know, something happened because you see bullet holes in the wall, but, you know, and it's like, and the bad guy that you thought was supposed to be there is just not there. You know, he disappeared like a popcorn fart in the wind, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's like Rob O'Neill was describing one time the raid on Osama bin Laden. He didn't know the first helicopter went down. He literally walked past. He said, "I literally walked past it and didn't even know, and someone told me." That's how focused we were on.
And then we left it there, and the Chinese came in and took pictures of it, and
No, we blew it up.
Oh, we blew it up still, but they still went in and took pictures of it. But
exactly.
But there was an Navy admiral during World War II. He was asked about his position on the press reporting on war. And he said, what about the press? Tell them there was a war after we already won it. And I think a lot of that is true. I mean, if you remember back during the invasion, Geraldo Rivera.
Oh, yeah.
He got kicked out of the country twice. He was
because
embedded.
He was making a map in a freaking sand.
Yeah, dude, he was embedded with the 101st. A buddy of mine, I think it was with his unit. It was with the 502nd, 502nd Infantry, which is 2nd Brigade for the 101st. He was sitting there making a sand table map. Like, here's our position, and they cut his feet. Like, dude, you can't fucking do that. And he got all mouthy about it, so they moved him to a different unit. And he tried to pull that shit, I think, with a Marine unit, and they just finally said, like, you're fucking out of here.
Yeah.
OPSEC is huge.
Yeah. What is it? Freaking, man, I use it all the time and I forgot it. I just forgot it. OPSEC.
Yeah, exactly. Or they used to say on these morale posters during World War II, is loose lips sink ships.
Yeah.
It's like my mom would run into that all the time. She would be the ombudsman for the spouses back home. And she would, be like a liaison between the skipper of the ship and the wives, If the wife, when a spouse had or family member had a problem back home, they'd contact my mom and she would get a message to the ship. She didn't have like a direct line, so to speak, but that she had channels that she could go through.
Yeah, then it even comes down to like people asking me, "Well, how many people have you fed today?" I was like, "I don't know. I can't give that information out."
Yeah, and it's not that we're trying to be all hard asses, like Men in Black, and you're stirred to this.
I had an ego.
yeah. Well, I mean, not even so much that. It's just that I mean, we're cool and all, but I am not going to get my ass chewed out for no fucking reason just because you're nosy.
Yeah, I had one instant where I had a third country national asking for a disposable camera, and I told my command, I was like, "Hey, this guy's asking for a disposable camera. We need to get rid of him." And they were like, "Well, just don't get it for him." I'm like, "Did you not hear what I just said?"
Yeah,
It's not me trying to be a hard ass. It's me trying to make sure that. And this is when we had those horse soldiers come back from
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And they wanted to take pictures of all the soldiers and everything. I was like, they're asking for this. And this is because, God, those men, good Lord in heaven, where they wore out. Because they were okay. They were sitting in front of the showers to get a shower and everything. Yeah. They were just sitting out, taking care of their nails and everything like that. And I was like, "Hold on, you guys look rough. Let me go get you some, at least some like packed lunches or something like that. I'll get you some fruit or something." I was just like carrying like water and sodas and everything like that. And oh my. I've never seen anybody that, and I worked on a ranch. I've never seen anybody that rough.
Yeah, dude, that is like, it's physically exhausting.
And they did it for like, what was it, only 2 weeks?
I think 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. I mean, because they had a specific deadline that they had to hit.
Yeah.
But.
And if they didn't hit it, it would have been all out.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been bad, but,
Mentioned, I met Rob Lowe before, not Rob Lowe, but Rob Regal before he was famous too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, wow. He was the captain.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You get, it's funny, like, you start seeing some, I mean, because, like, even to a degree, like a lot of Rangers units, they don't like their pictures being taken. And I remember seeing there's a page on Instagram. What is it? Zulu Foxtrot. Yeah, it's like Zulu Foxtrot. You see these pictures that have like all these faces redacted in it.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're like, you never really understand your importance to the mission until you see the official photo released. And then it's like this, everybody's faces are blacked out except for this one motherfucker's just sitting there all cheesing it out. He's like, you know, and it's like, you are not mission essential. You know, it's like,
hey guys.
It's like, I'm here. And like, yeah, but where you're going out the door first. You know, it's like,
were you the interpreter? Or?
I mean, even the interpreters get their faces redacted sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of times they're going to be nationals, locals. You know?
Yeah.
They're going to be indigenous, you know, and it's like they got to keep their identity safe because if that picture gets out and the wrong people see it, they go, well, I know who he is and I know where he lives. You know, it's part of that whole hearts and minds thing, I guess. But you know, I miss being in the infantry. You get those guys that are like, you know, once a Marine, always a Marine. Well, like, okay, well, once you're a grunt, you're kind of always a grunt.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because you've got that mentality. You know, it's kind of, I don't want to say beat into you. It's kind of bred into you.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's not that we think that we're better than everybody else. I mean, to a degree, we kind of know we are, but you know, at the same time, we still kind of have to carry a degree of modesty about us because, you know, you get those guys with those big heads. And it's always the guys that talk the most shit that you see freeze up the most.
Bro veteran?
Bro vets, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. John Burke talks about those guys all the time. He's like, you get those guys that are just bro vets. And, I mean...
Hell, for the longest time, I don't even ask for a freaking discount that I can get. Now that I need the money and everything, I gotta ask for
yeah, you know, it's like...
I've never asked for discounts when somebody's like,
and
hey, thank you for my sorry.
I'm not proud of this. My disability rating with the VA is high enough to where I qualified to get the DV plate on my car. And so I've got the handicap placard, right?
Yeah.
And I'll use it at sporting events. You know, I'm like, I don't want to fucking walk half a mile.
Why are you taking John with us? Is it because he's an infantryman and you liked all that stuff? No, because he has a handicap sticker.
Yeah, it's you know, like, I took my girlfriend to a hockey game a few weeks back, about a month or so ago, and then took my boys to a hockey game, and I was just like, yeah, I'm totally using this parking spot. Parked right up fucking front, man. It's like literally just maybe about 150 feet to the damn door. You know, I'm just like, yeah, you know, I mean, if I'm at like Walmart or something like that, I'll park in the regular parking and I'll just walk my happy ass in. But, you know, or like, you know, I mean, if the parking lot is slammed and every parking, like Black Friday.
Oh God!
You know,
yeah.
If I'm feeling dumb enough to want to go out on Black Friday, fine.
What kind of armor do you use though? I go full plate.
Oh, you gotta go to level
Shield
3 trauma, man. You gotta go.
I go full plate with shield and sword.
You gotta go level 3, right?
Yeah.
You know, you gotta go full hua, right? You know, yeah. I mean, full send, but.
Oh yeah, that was another thing. How do you like the wrestling with the Vikings and the Spartans after the movies came out and the TV show? How do you like that kind of stuff?
What I had a problem with, I mean, it was a novelty at first, but then you start seeing these people take that shit real seriously. Like they you know, like to get around the beard, you know, the having a beard rule.
Yeah.
Like one guy, he listed his religion as Norse. Oh my God. And it was his religious right. Like it was a part of his religion to grow a fucking beard. And I think they let him for a little bit.
Well, actually, they have that with the
like the sheiks.
Yeah, sheiks. Yeah,
the sheiks. Yeah.
And the
yeah, that's due there. The sheiks. Yeah, I mean, the turban is part of their uniform.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I mean, I don't. I mean, it's being respectful of their culture, but at the same time, just the whole being dressed right dress. If you want to wear a beard, fine, great. Because if that's part of your religion, that's part of your culture, then do that. But you have to have that waiver to do that. But as far as headgear goes, man, no. There is no possible way that you could be tactical with that because they say the purpose of camouflage is to break up unnatural outlines, right? Yeah. You can wear a ghillie suit on that thing. I'm not trying to be discriminatory, but it's like to a degree I understand. Yes, this is your religion, fine, whatever, but you still have to have a level of conformity with everybody else. If you're marching in formation and you're standing out head above shoulders above everybody else because you've got that turban on, or if you've got that beard, and nobody else is wearing it, guess what? Whether or not you choose to admit it or whether or not you want it,
you're standing out.
You are going to be the focus of attention. Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, that is not a good thing.
Now, the only reason why I say anything like that is because historically, you have most people that are in the military and everything like that. Some of them view homosexuality as, up until like now.
Yeah.
To where, it's bad. And then you have a bunch of people basically worshiping and saying stuff that side were very flaming.
Here's my thing. Okay, I used to be, when I was in, it was the don't ask, don't tell stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine, whatever.
And I could point out a lot of people that were in the military that were
really. I mean, it was obvious.
They were hiding it. Not as good, but they were still hiding it.
My point is that, if you can keep your head squared away enough to where you did your job. If you were a good soldier, if you didn't detrimentally affect the combat effectiveness of the unit, fine. Do whatever you want to do on your own time.
Yeah.
Now, do I think that transgenders need to be allowed to serve? No, and here's why. Okay, we've got a bad enough problem with suicide rates in the military anyway. Now, don't quote me on it, but I've heard a couple of different numbers as far as the suicide rates in the transgender community. I've heard 50%. I've heard 87%. But I mean, it's still high. You're going to take a demographic. You're going to take a group of people that have
a high
enough suicide rate on their own.
Yeah.
And you're going to put them into a profession that has a high suicide rate. That's not going to bode well.
Yeah.
And because if you need to take medication to level out your hormones because you're transitioning one direction or the other, and you're put into a position where you may run out, and it's going to cause you to go off center, and you either put a barrel in your mouth or you hang yourself, do whatever, and you take away from the combat effectiveness of your unit, because now they got to police up your body and they got to send you home.
Yeah.
They got to call in a dust off to take care of you. No. I mean, I don't want to get too far into the weeds on that because I mean I kind of view myself as being pretty conservative. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a Reagan conservative.
Yeah.
I mean I believe like Reagan stated in his farewell address to the White House, from the White House, is that America should be a shining city on the hill. It trust but verify, peace through strength. Those are certain. I mean, those are very sound principles that we just frankly we don't have enough of anymore. Yeah. And that's culturally why a lot of the reasons why we got into the mess that we're in. The family units are being broken up.
Yeah.
There are certain demographics, certain groups that are being given way too much power. Kids are defiant these days because they've got way too much power. You know, you give a kid the opportunity to call CPS on his parents because he didn't want to clean his room. Well, I'm sorry. When I was growing up, and I'm pretty sure when you were growing up,
I'll beat the shit out.
If I talk back to either one of my parents, there was an 1.5 inch, 2 inch wide leather belt that had my name all over it.
Yeah. Well,
You know?
it got to the point. I was like, I think it was like 4 or 5 months ago. My dad told me, he's like, you know, the day that you squared up on me that one day, I had to do every dirty trick in the book, but it was at the point that he realized he needs to change his teaching because I'm not gonna answer that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, your parenting style needs to evolve. Your leadership styles need to evolve. But you know, I think that discipline has really gotten.
It's gotten to
the ability for parents to discipline their children have been taken away.
Yeah, even my other co-host Kai. I mean, he tells us the difference between him and his friends is night and day because he didn't grow up half his life with a father figure.
Yeah.
And me and another friend of his did.
Yeah.
And we're here, and he's still lacking a bat, and we're still trying to pull him back.
Yeah.
Pull him up.
You know, it's like, you know, yeah, I've got a temper. I would be the first person to admit I have got a temper. You know, and it's gotten away from me a couple of times, but you know, I've gotten to where, you know, I don't necessarily like raising my voice. I just don't. You know, I'm not one of those guys that's driven by the sound of his own voice. You know, it's
even though it's majestic.
A lot of power is derived from the beard, man. But you know, it's like you know, I'll raise it up a couple of octaves just to get their attention, you know. And I do address my boys with the knife hand, you know. Yeah. And that's just because when you point at somebody, you're going to lose their attention real quick. Yeah. You know, you do this, and it's like, you know, it's not like you're trying to instill a fear of God into somebody. It's just, you know, hey, look, I'm directly speaking to you, and you need to look at me, you know. And
it was funny because I had to raise my voice when I was working, because I'm working at Domino's right now, and I had to raise my voice one time, and everybody just stopped.
Yeah.
And it's because I learned how to project my voice really well.
It's all from the diaphragm. You know?
Oh, man, it is so fun to do too.
You know,
at times it's fun to do sometimes as a joke.
Yeah.
But they get when they really mess up on me and everything like that. It's when I take them aside that everybody looks at the person that messed up on me.
Right, it's because you're able to address them in a way that, like, you're looking them in the eye, you're not talking down to them, you're addressing them like a human being, but you're doing it with a firmness, and you're like, look, I understand that you're in a hurry, but when you take a shortcut, you're making more work for everybody else.
Yeah.
You need to continue to pull your weight, because the more and more that you slack off, the less and less opportunity for you to stay here is going to be, you know, present itself. And, you know, and I really just started talking to my boys that way, you know, and you know, when I get in there and I'm like, okay, you guys need to quit, you know, and like if they go back and forth, you know, I'll sit there and be like, hey. You know, and I'll bark at them like that, and they'll just kind of look at me, and I'm like, you guys need to quit right now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's about that delivery. It's about that presence that you project. I mean, and there's a lot of things too. One of the things that really is kind of starting to fade into history that we really need to bring back into style is something called command presence.
Oh yeah.
You know. And I mean, you could put Joe Blow Snuffy, who's wet behind the ears, and he's having to blow his nose 5 times a day because he was, you know, he did too many lines in college, into a leadership position. And if the dude comes across as a wet noodle, he is not going to get a damn thing done. Whereas if you get somebody who, you know, they may not have all of their ducks in a row, they may not have all their shit together, but if they have that command presence, that when they speak, they can speak at you, and not, you know, I mean, that you could speak at somebody and they feel like he's speaking directly to me, but even though you're addressing a crowd, you know.
Well, it's like
and it's all about that inflection, like with your preparatory and your preparatory command, your commands of execution. You know, you're like, oh, pow, you know, and it's like you get that loud, and it's like everybody's like, oh, hey, something's about to happen. You know, you don't have to necessarily yell at somebody. You know,
or you could just give a look.
Yeah, you
and they know that look to the point where it was like having a person that's trying to be a leader, and the actual guy that actually is the leader is like right behind him and everything, and everybody's like, okay, we're listening to this guy. We'll do what he says.
Yeah, you know, and exactly. I mean, it's just that command presence. You don't see that a lot anymore.
No.
You do have those diamonds in the rough, you know, that are out there, and unfortunately, it's an uphill battle for them because, especially with a lot of the combat experience that we've got in the military now, and I'm not talking about battle streamers on division flags or anything like that. I'm talking about individual soldiers that have got time in theater, time in country, that have
it's not even
that experience. Okay, like we ran into that problem with Vietnam. You know, where you get these guys, you know, the average length of tour was 1 year, and you know, and it would, the units would stay there, but they would rotate personnel out on a yearly basis. You know, you get 12 months in country, then you go home, then you go back, then you go home.
Yeah, and Army's the only one that actually does that anymore.
I think the Marine Corps did it too.
Well, no, I mean nowadays.
Well, nowadays, yeah, but the units come back.
Yeah. The
units don't stay there. You know, like, okay, so if the 101st or the 82nd, they get deployed to RC West or RC East, you know, they stay in that area of responsibility for 12 to 15 months, however long their deployment was scheduled for. And when they transition for redeployment back to the States, the unit that replaces them comes in. You know, it would be like 10th Mountain Division or 3rd Infantry Division. They would come in and say, okay, well, we're assuming responsibility here. They would have a transfer of responsibility.
Okay.
You know, and then the unit that was there would leave. But you wouldn't transfer personnel in and out of those units the way that we used to during like Vietnam. You know, like, okay, well, 2nd Platoon would be here, but then Staff Sergeant would have 12 months in country. He's going to rotate out back to the world, and then you'd get somebody new that would come in. You'd lose that experience. You'd lose that combat experience, and you'd lose that leadership. And that's why nobody ever wanted to make friends with the FNGs, because nobody was there to kind of take control and kind of take them under their wing. And, you know, a majority, I don't want to say majority, that's not fair, a high percentage of the casualties, the KIAs, and the wounded from Vietnam were from guys that had just arrived.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know any better. They didn't have anybody there that would tell them, hey, look, you know, it kind of became like a taboo to talk to the new guy. You had to be there for like X amount of days or X amount of weeks before you realized, you know, before people were like, you know, hey, it's okay to talk to this guy. And it's because the leadership wasn't taking control of these guys, going and saying, hey, look, you need to go over here and you need to listen to this guy because he's been here for a while. He knows what he's doing. Do what he does. Go where he goes. Pay attention. Take notes.
Yeah, and it really just it even took about 30 years, even for a lot of combat proficient. God, man, I'm just stumbling on my words right now. But learning stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it took like Jocko Willis to write a freaking doctrine for the SEAL team on how to do tactics, because most of them were just going, oh, what did you learn on this one? Okay, we'll just do this, and they never had a big thick book to tell them. Okay,
yeah, the SOPs
we've learned
all over the place. Yeah, you know, but you know, you standardize the training where the standard was consistent across the board.
But you really can't. Well,
to a degree, yes. You can have that consistency in the training, but when you get to your units, the units specialize in different things.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you come up to a concertina wire obstacle, no two companies are going to clear it the same way, but the effectiveness is still there.
Yeah.
But you've got the basic premise What they'll do is they'll see how another unit does it, and they'll adapt it and change certain things that fits their dynamic. But it still gets done. But there's still a commonality there.
Yeah.
There's still a common denominator. Certain things you will find that it's just you'll see it repeated across the board.
Yeah.
Whether it's how to dismount the vehicle or approach the obstacle, or how they clear the obstacle, or what do they do after the fact. Whether it's the initial contact or the art or the reconsolidation and organization skills on the backside. There's still a commonality along the way, but it's being able to establish that doctrine. There's a saying in the Army, is like, you can take away, or you can add to, but don't take away from. So it's like, all right, if you're going to change the way that you do something, you need to go out of your way to prove it. And
exactly.
it needs to be repeatable.
Well,
and it needs to be able to break that down into a trainable session. Whether you go, it doesn't matter what kind of method of instruction you use, whether it's the step by step or if you go block by block. You still need to have that where it needs to be repeatable.
Exactly. Well, it's almost to the point where of telling somebody, it's like, hey, in this cell, this guy's going, he's having some stuff. It's just communication of the point where what's going on between inmates that day, and letting them know, it's like, hey, this person has this going on, this person has this. And so you don't have something to the point to where you're taking a person's face and doing a cheese grater, which is basically taking your elbow on a person's head and just on a chain link fence. Nobody really wants that, but when it comes down to it, that person just had a bad day, and even though he is a criminal, if you show like a halfway decent respect, and someone comes back like from the same day and goes, hey, such and such told me that you're having a problem, or we're going to have a problem today. No. Okay. Let's go back to the thing.
Yeah.
And the consistency of the communication is really horrible.
Yeah, and just like with normal relationships, communication's key.
Are you supposed to listen to them?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I I was told once that I need to talk less and listen more. And and I'm telling you, it's harder than you think.
But do they have opinions really that matter? I keep on forgetting.
I'm just going to say yes because I know that certain people watch these, and but you're not catching me, not today, Satan. But
I should try.
it's like, turn around. But communication is key. Because if you're out there on your own, you're separated from everybody else.
Yeah.
You got to have that flow of information, in order to be able to operate effectively.
Yeah. It's like the Operation Red Wing. They couldn't communicate at all.
Yeah,
because of the mountainside and everything
right.
like that.
Yeah. It was bad all the way around. They could have still gone in there, but they needed the infrastructure to back that up.
Well,
it wasn't there.
It wasn't there because of I can't even say technology, but that area that they were going in, it was a dead zone.
Yeah, it was a black hole. They could have done aerial reconnaissance with drones, do whatever, before they put boots on the ground. They could have done that a whole lot better. And to be honest with you, should the operation have still gone down? Yeah, but they needed to do their homework a whole hell of a lot more.
Well, they even went in knowing that they were going to have that good of communications, and they still went in.
Yeah, we could play hindsight 2020.
Yeah, with that whole thing.
Yeah, we could dissect it till we're blue in the face, but when you boil it, when it comes down to it, communication is 100%.
Yeah.
Foundationally essential, and that's going to be establishing standards. That's going to be establishing guidelines. Just writing those SOPs.
Yeah.
You need that communication, and you can have good communication within a smaller unit, and that's fine. That's great. That's imperative. But it's just as essential when you start getting into the upper echelons.
Yeah.
You know, when you start talking about brigade and divisional and even departmental communication, interdepartmental communication, if it sucks,
Oh yeah,
you're gonna have shit just going. I mean, it's just gonna break down. It's like you talk about, like FBI versus the NSA, versus Homeland Security.
Wait a minute, isn't NSA part of the Homeland Security, or do they separate that?
I think they're separate. Because I think the NSA. Operates domestically versus CIA, which is internationally. But
yeah, I know CIA. The only way they can actually do anything in country is with the liaison.
Yeah.
With the FBI.
Yeah, but when those departments, those branches start bumping heads because they go into a situation with their own ideology.
Yeah, that's what happened with 9/11.
Yeah, 9/11, we had all kinds of information, but they weren't talking.
Exactly.
And
it wasn't they didn't want to talk to each other. It was the fact of
that they couldn't.
They couldn't.
Yeah, and whether it be because of doctrinal. I cannot talk today.
But we're going on like almost 3 hours.
Yeah, I know, right? Whether it be because of established
and doctrine.
Well, we'll just say deficiencies on a doctrinal level.
Yeah.
And there I just spit the word out like it was supposed to be. But it's like, whether it be because of failures on a doctrinal level, or, ideological differences on the way things should be run versus the way that they are actually run, there were so many downfalls with that. And then when they went in there with the commission after 9/11 happened and we tried to figure out why.
Yeah.
It's like, these are common sense things. I had a platoon sergeant a very, very long time ago. He would say, common sense wasn't issued, but use it anyway.
Yeah, it's a superpower that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, it's like my dad used to say, he's like, at least wet concrete has enough common sense to dry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, something else my dad would say, and I've started using this more recently, especially with my boys. It's like, let's use our brains for something besides keeping your ears apart.
Yeah.
And it's not to be like insulting or anything like that. It was just really kind of illustrating.
Make you stop and think.
Yeah, it's an illustration, and it's like, okay, we need to proactively be better.
Yeah.
Communication, the way that we approach situations.
Stop trying to think about people. Yourself first.
Yeah, and I think, and there's a lot of people in the world that are guilty of overthinking situations. It's like, okay, stop, breathe. It's called crisis management.
Yeah, and I get really, because I am the most impatient person you could possibly meet, and working on a person that overthinking on how to work on a car. And I'm like, okay, just do this. And he's like, are you sure? I end up damaging a lot of stuff because I get so fed up. It was like my ignition switch went out, and I was trying to get it with the chisel and everything, and I couldn't. I was really about to take the dashboard and just take a chainsaw to it. And but if you have those types of people that just overthink to the point to where they can't get the job done, or they think here and it takes them like 3 weeks to get to point A to point B.
Yeah.
And then,
it's like, my girlfriend, God, I love her to death. She does overthink things, and she admits it. She knows, I overthink. And she constantly wants to apologize. And I'm not throwing you under the bus.
if I get messages,
no, I would be the one. Yeah, no, I would be the one. But it's like, she constantly apologizes, and I'm like, look,
yeah, I
don't
have lots of
apologize.
people that do that.
You know, and it's not so much of a pet peeve where it just like pisses me off. It's like, hey, look, you know, there's things that we can apologize for. There's things that we should apologize for.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, and that's where communication comes in too. You know, it's like you go in and like you pull the person aside and say, okay, what's going on? What do we need? You know, what do I need to do better to make you more proficient in this area? Or why do you feel the need, like you need to apologize all the time? Okay, let's get some backstory. Now let's spitball this out, you know, and work your way through that, as opposed to just using blunt force trauma and ripping things off of an engine block, you know.
But it's fun. I mean,
be that as it may.
Yeah, we shouldn't do that.
But you know, it's still, you create more work for yourself.
You do.
Than you do saving time. I mean, trust me. Like, okay, so I drive a Chevy Cobalt, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it came equipped with a remote start. You know, but it doesn't work, and I cannot figure out why. And I desperately want to. I think I just need to replace.
No, is it working, or because some of them
like when you hit the button?
You have to hit it twice. Sometimes you have to hit it twice.
But when I hit it, like, no, you're supposed to just lock it and then hold it down, right? You hit the lock button and you hit the start button and you got to hold it down, and it's supposed to start it up. But all it does is set off my car alarm. There's a hood latch sensor. I think it's out. Because when I go into my information center on my car, it says remote start, and it gives me the option to turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah.
So I know my car comes equipped with it.
Yeah.
Even though the parts department down here at the Chevy dealership tells me that it's not. I'm like, look, I know what I'm seeing. You know, to me that's frustrating, and I just have to step back. I just be like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to beat this thing to death. I'm just going to, you know, I've got my engine light to turn off. I'm fine. I'm great with that. Yay, you know. I don't have to worry about the light bulb back there burning out behind the engine symbol. You know, it's like, all right, so it'll come on.
I just let that shit shine.
You know, that's my tire pressure sensor, because all 4 sensors are out, even though I know my tires are good.
I'll have a totally different sensor for that. It still shines.
Yeah, you know, but
and what's really sad is right before the big snowstorm last week, I aired up my tires to not factory settings, but max.
So
I put like 40 pounds.
So you took out your fall air and you put in your winter air. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
But I did that, and my light still stays on.
Yeah, I think of a lot of it, like, they don't communicate with
the rest
PC.
of it.
Yeah, it doesn't communicate with the computer in your car.
Yeah.
But
the smart brain.
Yeah, you know, it's like, here we are. We've gone from what we were talking about to shade tree mechanics.
Yeah.
But today on this old house, but you know, I think a majority of the problems that we face as far as like combat effectiveness, or even just leadership cultures, you get a lot of these NCOs that when they get pinned with their stripes, they feel like they have been blessed with this sense of entitlement. It's like,
I call it extra ball syndrome.
I wouldn't even say that, because Lance Armstrong, he won a couple of Tour de France's. Yes,
yeah, but
don't
he
get into the whole blood doping thing. Whatever.
Well, no.
He did it with one ball. Okay.
No. What I'm getting at is he was still humble.
Yeah, he was humble.
But if you get an extra ball in there, well, you can't really say that because of Hitler. You're right.
Right. See.
All right.
Then he was projecting a lot of that that LDE, that little dick energy.
Yeah.
You know. Okay. But I mean, it's like a guy who jacks up the truck and then still drives around with low-profile tires that have no flex to them because he listens to Florida Georgia Line while he plays with his boyfriend.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
You know, don't at me with that either. But
it's like a Ford owner.
See, I can't make Ford jokes, because my girlfriend loves Ford. You know, there's that new meme going around, or that TikTok sound. It's like, you know, that feeling.
I just still love
when you put your hand on the inside of your friend's thigh and it sends a shiver up his leg. It's the same feeling you get when you drive a Ford F-150. Ford, no girls allowed. You know, and I'm like,
Emery King.
Wow.
That's all I gotta say.
Emery King,
my
Silverado. Yeah, I love that guy.
Oh God, he's freaking awesome.
You know, and, he's just like, Look, it's my business if I want to take one in the mouth. Wait, what?
No. It's I love the story one he did one time. He's like drinking a White Claw. I don't have any kind of problems.
Oh, and he kept coming back from in front of the mirror. He's like, "This is after 7 White Claws." He's got a bra on. He's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. And he's like drinking one, and then he comes around and he has a dildo and he puts it. It's like, oh,
what is it? What? Who? But yeah, but it's really, I mean, back to what we were originally talking about.
Yeah.
We need to start coming in here with a lawnmower to knock down the weeds so we don't get lost in there. But
no, it happens. You can't stop it. Honestly.
Yeah, it's
and it actually in the long run it makes it a little bit more entertaining.
Yeah, it's like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. It's like I don't know where the fuck we're going. Just hang on.
I mean, when you have like a professional podcaster like Joe Rogan, and that's really all that happens throughout his podcast is they go from it's like going up on a frog going up on another pod.
Yeah.
And it just hops out everywhere, and then eventually it'll come back.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we sat in here originally to talk about the infantry.
Oh, we're going to talk about you. But anyways, and then...
No. But, as far as like the infantry is concerned versus other MOSs in the Army...
Well, any kind of...
Non-combat, I mean, all the support MOSs are absolutely mission essential. They're just as mission essential as the infantry is, but the infantry is even more so. I know I just completely contradicted myself, but you need the infantry because they're the ones that are going in and kicking down doors. They're the ones that are physically chewing the dirt.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that are actually out there crawling the last 100 yards.
Yeah, and even a lot of tier 1s will tell you is it's the infantry that actually keeps everything going.
Yeah, I mean, because you can be surgical with your tier 1 guys.
Yeah.
But you need that blunt force. You need that large presence that the infantry provides. And you'll find a lot of times too, you get those infantry units that support tier 1 operations. Like with Mogadishu, you had the Rangers going in providing support for the Delta guys to go in and do their extractions.
Yeah.
And when everything went to fucking hell in a handbasket, guess what? Everybody became a grunt.
Yeah.
Everybody was on the ground doing grunt shit, because everybody wants to be a grunt till it's time to do grunt shit. It's like nobody wants to put a rucksack on their back. Nobody wants to carry a shit ton of fucking ammo everywhere.
Hell, I didn't want to carry.
Nobody wants to hear the 3 most dreaded words in the English language, which is prepare to move. Yeah. Nobody wants to have to tell their people prepare to move because that means you're having to come out from behind cover.
Yeah.
But it's something that has to be done, and you can't just take anybody off the street or anybody in any other MOS and plug them into that job, into that role, and tell them, hey, this is something that you've got to do, and expect them to do that as well as the people who have that mindset and that have been wired to do that job. But so do infantrymen carry around a sense of arrogance? Yeah. Is it earned in a lot of situations? Yeah. We have to carry ourselves a certain way so that way we can not necessarily justify the way that we do our jobs, but so that way we can find ourselves, make ourselves capable of doing the job mentally. Physically, not a problem at all. I mean, that's what PT's for. That's what going to the gym after work is, for. You get these guys that come out, they go in and they weigh like $105 soaking wet. Like, no shit. When I graduated high school, I had a metabolism of like a nuclear reactor, so I could eat like a side of beef and, I wouldn't gain a pound. When I graduated high school and went to basic, I was barely pushing 100 pounds.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I was toothpick, but when I left basic and airborne, I was at 150. And when I got off active duty, I was at 175 at like 4 or 5% body fat. So we just did PT all the damn time, and it was the type of things that we were doing.
I didn't gain or lose any kind of weight.
Yeah, well, then I turned 40, and then I just got fat.
Yeah,
but
I had to take away sugar out of my diet only because I was like 186.
Right.
And as soon as I got rid of sugar, bam, 168.
Yeah, see, and I had gotten, see, a couple of years ago, I was up to like a 38-inch waist, and then I had dropped down to, I think it was like I got back down to like a 29-inch waist.
Oh, really?
And then I just started eating again, and just bam, I'm up to a 36-inch waist now, but, you know, and I'm like, it's just way too hard for me to like lose the inches. But you know, I mean, it's not that it can't be done, but you know, but anyway, back to what we were trying to say here is that, you know, being in the infantry,
yeah, we're gonna have to
versus we're gonna wrap it up real quick. Being in the infantry versus other MOSs, I would pick being in the infantry any other day or every day. Like if they came to me and said, you know, they you know, you can stay in, but you got to reclass. Fuck that. Let me get out.
Yeah.
You know, just because I don't want to have to, you know, I don't want to lose that. I don't want to have to put on my dress uniform and look over at my right shoulder and not see that cord there. I don't want to look down and not see those cross rifles on my lapel. You know, I mean, because like I'm airborne, air assault, and expert infantry badge. You know, I've got those qualification badges on my uniform. You know, I earned those. You know, and I mean, it doesn't matter what unit you go to, you're authorized to wear that because that's a personal award.
Yeah.
But the branch insignia stuff, like the cord and the cross rifles, you got to take those off if you reclass and you go somewhere else. Like I had friends that reclassed out of the infantry.
Oh wow!
And one of them went to be like a Patriot missile site guy or Patriot missile guy. His commander made him take his EIV off, and he was like, "No." Just cited the regulation. It's not an infantry thing. That's a personal award. Yeah. It's like we had a guy that reclassed from aviation over to the infantry. He had his crew chief wings, right? He wore those with his infantry stuff. And when he got an EIB, you know, he wore his EIB over his crew chief wings. That was great, fine, awesome. Because you earn that, you have the, you know, I mean, it's wearer's preference. It's just like, it's wearer's preference to decide which goes first, the airborne or the air assault wings. You know, depending on who you talk to, they'll say air assault's more viable and more important than airborne. But for me, yeah, I loved being in the 101st. I loved being air assault qualified. I loved the concept of air assault. I really do. I think that, you know, doctrinally that it's the most you know, it's the most you know, viable, you know, means of insertion and extraction.
Okay.
But I wear my airborne wings above those, and it's because, you know, I'm old school. I love to respect the older guys, the guys that came before, you know, like the guys that jumped into Normandy, the, you know, Market Garden, you know, and on since then. Me wearing my airborne wings above that is because it's like we started out as an airborne unit. I joined to become a paratrooper, you know, and I love jumping. I mean, being a paratrooper is like, you got your regular grunts and you got your paratroopers, you got your airborne infantrymen, you know, they're a little bit higher class. And then you got your rangers above them, you know, and then on and up. But, you know, it's about preference, but it's, you know, people want to give the infantry a bunch of shit because they think that we're just arrogant pricks. It's like, well, yeah, you're going to get those guys there. And it's usually those are the guys that you want to avoid whenever shit hits the fan, because whenever shit hits the fan, you want to look for the guy who's quiet and follow him, because he's about to cut fence and start sorting dudes out, you know.
Or just hit a fucking button and everything explodes.
No, I mean, like literally whenever chaos starts reigning, you really want to start aligning yourself with getting yourself into situations that are advantageous to your survival.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, beings is that retreat and defeat are not options. Yeah. You know, it's you look for the quiet guys, because those are the guys that have already assessed the crisis. They're managing it. They're calm, cool, and collected, so you know that, yeah, while they're nervous, they still have a degree of ice water in their veins. They're about to cut the fence, and they're about to go through and start sorting things out. Yeah. You want to be there, because a lot of times the safest place on the battlefield is behind their weapon.
Yeah.
You know, which is what, you know, I loved being a 50 gunner. Safest place was behind my 50, you know. But you get, you get those guys that they're just made for that job. Whether or not they have these employable skills outside, the military, that's what we have college for.
Well, I still think that they have very high employable skills.
Well, yeah.
Only because it's the crisis management.
Crisis management, yeah. I know a lot of grunts that have became paramedics. A lot of grunts that actually went on to become nurses or doctors.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, they love the lifestyle, so they get out.
Well, you
and
can
they
still
go do
you can
private
have
contracting.
that. You can have that in the boardroom too.
Yeah, and like Matt Best. I mean, he was Ranger, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, look what he's doing now. I mean,
he's running that's coming up to be a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah, I mean, Black Rifle. He helped found that, and then what was it? Article 15 Clothing.
Well, it was Article 15 Clothing that really stepped it up because
Yeah.
their first year was $1 million.
Yeah.
And you go from there. You take in on. It was more or less partnering up with Evan Hafer that really that group of people. They had the media outlet. They had the product from Evan Hafer and how he made it and everything like that and what he wanted to do with it. And then you had a face to where they had a media outlet and everything like that. And they combined all that stuff to make a product. I mean, you can't have a good product and not advertise it.
Yeah.
You can't have a media company and no way to fund it. Because right now, that's what it is. It's Black Rifle is literally funding their fun.
Yeah.
And that's how you got it. You have to think about something. If you want... I love doing this. But is it a viable thing to where I can get paid? Eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
But I have to get to that point.
Yeah, because you got to get the attention. The right people have to be able to hear it. And eventually, we're gonna have to break up these little blocks here and
make.
They do promotional spots. You
Yeah.
know? I get all that. I mean, and that's probably one of the reasons why I haven't even started one of my own because, I mean, honestly, it seems kind of daunting a little bit just to get the start. Just to start it all up, just to figure out the platform and how to deliver the message, stay on message. To me, while I like chaotic situations because you have the ability to kind of free flow a little bit.
Yeah.
I do like to stay on message. It's so like my girlfriend, she tells me, she's like, it's just so sexy how you just like to be organized, and I'm like, I just like things to be like I've got a Pop Funko collection that I've started, and I've got wall, right? It's all there, right? It's all together,
Fucking nerd.
You know what? So what? I'll wear that pride. I'll wear that label of pride.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But like like with the Baby Yoda pops, right? I've got 4 different smaller ones.
Man, they just go AWOL with those pops.
And then I ordered this one 3 months ago. The 10-inch tall one just came in like a week or so
Dude,
ago.
that's nothing. They have like I think about 6 to 5 foot one.
Yeah, no. See, my collection.
They have when I went to a con, they had a vending machine that you just pick them up. I was like, what the fuck?
And I want to hit some of those because some of those exclusive, like convention exclusives, dude, they get pretty pricey. Yeah. Like right now, like I've got 47 of them in my collection, and it's worth almost $900. And like that most expensive one that I've got is Baby Yoda holding Mando's pendant.
Oh.
And then like it just watching the value fluctuate a little bit. It kind of reminds me of like back in the day when I used to collect comic books and baseball cards.
Me, it was Magic the Gathering. Well, I still collect comics, but Magic the Gathering, I mean, if you look at it right now, a lot of the cards, I was like, at one point in time, I had a Crypto Command. When I bought it, it cost me $50. and you go back and it hit legacy to where everybody was using it. It went up to like $600 to $700.
Yeah.
Then right now it's back down to its $50 to $60 frame, and it's like any kind of collectible stuff. You're looking at like a stock market type thing.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I bought first appearance of Punisher.
Yeah.
For $300. You know how much I sold that for once the show came out? Or no, once he hit up on Daredevil, I was like $2,000.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so like I like to collect military memorabilia. A lot of stuff, specifically like World War II, European theater, 101st specifically.
Dude, there's a guy that I saw a show on YouTube that guy collect World War One memorabilia.
See, that stuff's so hard to find. Though.
Yeah.
But like, there used to be a surplus store outside of Fort Campbell called the Eagles of War.
Uh-huh.
And he had like, when you walk in, dude, it was like walking into a museum because he had all this cool shit just hanging from the wall behind glass.
Yeah.
We're talking about like, like gear from like Iraqis or World War II stuff, Korea, Vietnam, and I've got a small collection of division patches through the years.
Okay.
And he recently decided he was going to go out of business and do like online only type stuff where he was going to close down his brick and mortar store. Well, he had all this memorabilia, all this historical stuff, like General Petraeus autographed like a Desert BDU top.
Oh wow!
And had it framed. That sold for like $3,000. He put everything up for this online auction, and I found this brass eagle that would sit on a desk, and it was from World War II. It sat on a general's desk during the war.
Oh wow!
And I won the auction on that. It's sitting on my desk at home.
Was it Patton's?
No. This was 101st Airborne Division.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this was like a staff officer, but it belonged to somebody who was in the division during World War II.
Oh, okay.
And like that is one of my favorite things. I mean, this thing is heavy. It's like 5-6 pounds, and it just, I mean, it sits about that tall. But I won it. I paid $35 for it. But it's like, I'm like, man, I got lucky on it because like it was one of those back lot items.
I bet if you found out whose desk it was actually at,
yeah,
you could. Most stuff is if you can put history to it, it bumps up the value.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I mean, it's like my dream book, the one that I absolutely want to own is a first edition of the Rendezvous with Destiny, and it's the title that we gave the divisional history book.
Okay.
And it keeps getting added to because it's written using after action reports. Oh. So after every engagement or whatever, and all those AARs keep getting pushed up to division. It builds the picture of what the battlefield happened, looked like on that particular day in history. So they keep making, amendments to this thing. Oh. But because after World War II, they disbanded the division.
Okay.
I want Rendezvous with Destiny, the first edition. I want that from World War II. And there was a copy of it on the auction site. This guy had one. Leather bound, beautiful book. And I'm like, oh man, but I mean it started at $500. And I'm like, fuck me, dude. I really want one so bad. I mean, I want the hardback. I don't want the paperback bullshit. I want a hardback. I would prefer it be leather bound, but I want one of those. And I mean, I would read it once and I would put it away. I'd vacuum seal it in some kind of like hermetically sealed box, just to make sure that it was taken care of. But just to me, to be able to have that history is just mind blowing because one of the things too that being in the infantry is kind of like enabled me to do is just really kind of really immerse myself in history. And like when my son graduated basic training, it was after the National Infantry Museum had opened up at Fort Benning, Georgia. The parade field where you stand, where you march up to, and they do the whole graduation ceremony there. What they did is when they built that parade field, they scraped all the topsoil off of it and they replaced it with topsoil that was a mixture of soil from every battlefield that the U.S. Army has ever fought on.
Oh wow!
And when they had said that, I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. Kind of gave me shivers, like a chill sent up your back. But after the ceremony was over, after graduation was over, we toured the museum and everything like that. And which, if you've ever had a chance to go to Columbus, Georgia, to visit the National Infantry Museum, do it. It's a free museum, hands down, amazing experience. But I walked out onto that parade field by myself, and just the sense of reverence that just kind of washed over me, dude. I had to go down to a knee and just kind of take it all in. I'm like, every battlefield that we've ever fought on, there's soil from that field right here where I'm standing.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about making you feel small, but yet like
boosting you up.
Yeah, I mean, it's humbling, but it's inspiring. It's just awestruck, at all the same time, because like you're just a blip on the timeline.
Yeah.
But you're a part of that. I mean, you're a part of that brotherhood of infantry. And to me that's where I get a lot of the pride that the infantryman draws comes from, is the fact that not everybody can do our job. Not everybody's cut out to do our job. But you became a part of that brotherhood, that fraternity. And nobody can ever take that away from you. And it's just from a historical standpoint, I mean, it's just to be able to say that, you were able to stand tall, shoulder to shoulder with some of the best human beings that this country has ever offered. It's humbling, and it's just an amazing feeling for me, at least. I mean, that's where a lot of my pride and a lot of the bravado that I carry, because of the infantry, comes from. Is because just from the historical standpoint, it's just very, very. It's a very humbling experience to know that, you served in the same branch of the Army that people like Audie Murphy and Dick Winters, it just
Sonny York.
Alvin York,
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have just joined any other branch of the Army. They could have been like a supply guy. They could have been, quartermaster, whatever. It doesn't matter. They could have been an MP, but they chose to become an infantryman. And, like with Band of Brothers, especially. I mean, I could watch that relentlessly, and I will cry every single time, when somebody dies, or at the end of the series, you're just kind of like left with that emptiness on the inside. You're like, I want to know more.
Yeah.
But
I was like when I was watching the Pacific.
Yeah, the Pacific was an amazing series. I mean, I identify more personally with Band of Brothers, obviously. Yeah. But and it's like, for a while there, like when I came home from basic training in airborne school, and I came home on leave, like when I got out of my parents' car, I had my dress uniform on, my Class A's, my jump boots, beret, wings shining, the guy that used to live next door to my parents, had jumped into Normandy with the 101st as a member of the 502nd Infantry.
Oh, wow.
And he came out, he was like, young man, let me shake your hand, because he saw the Screaming Eagle on my shoulder. He saw that 101st patch. He's like, I got to go out and talk to this guy. And I'm telling you what, man, just to, like, here I am, I'm thinking I'm like hot shit. I'm just mentally fresh, freshly minted 18-year-old infantryman with jump wings on his chest, thinking I'm badass to the bone, very suddenly humbled and awestruck by the fact that this guy has to carry around his balls in a wheelbarrow because he jumped out over France and Holland with the 101st, the unit that I'm going to.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's honestly nothing compared. Have you ever heard of the airplane gliders?
Yeah.
I met a guy when I was doing
as a matter
honor
of fact,
flight.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, 327, the unit that I was a part of, that I was assigned to.
Dude, those are brass. They were called flying coffins.
Yeah, the glider troops. In fact, the division commander, William C. Lee, father of the airborne.
Yeah.
Because the glider troops used to, part of the recruitment poster was all the danger, none of the pay. It used to be a joke because they didn't have a proficiency. Like, paratroopers had jump pay. Yeah. Glider troops didn't get that pay bonus. Major General William C. Lee flew. Like, he went in with the glider guys.
Yeah.
And he was like, I will never do that again. They were like, sir, we're not getting paid extra for this. He goes, that's going to change.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know.
But the balls.
Canvas and cardboard, or canvas and plywood.
Yeah.
You know.
Because I did research after I talked to him and everything like that. And I was in awe. And he looked so frail. And I was like, this man has more balls than me. There's no chance in hell I can even come up with
how much. See that guy wearing that veteran cap on his head and he's hunched over? At one point, he was more awesome than you will ever be in your entire life.
Oh, and just in like 5 seconds.
Yeah. And
I'm like, because there's a lot of battles that are research on. You can go in and just look at yourself, and you're just like, there's no way.
Yeah, I mean,
I can never be that badass.
You try to put yourself into situations, like you try to imagine what it would be like to invade France, or to drop in,
or being a special unit with the resistance, and you still have to wear your uniform.
Yeah, these guys are just, I mean, they're a cut above.
Yeah,
like you got your infantrymen, and then you got these guys.
Yeah,
and. So it's like, again, we're not taking away from the support MOSs. I've got a friend that I was friends with in high school. I mean, he was a truck driver in the Army.
Yeah.
I'm not taking away from that. I mean, hell.
Who's going to drive me to the field?
Yeah. I mean, who's going to drop me off there?
Who's going to make sure the
beans and bullets
working?
Yeah. Who's making sure that the beans and bullets are getting to where they need to go?
And who's going to feed me when I get back?
Yeah. So I'm just like, we give those guys shit because, like, they're not grunts, but at the same time, we need them. And, so, this whole, we need to get rid of the term pogue, or we need to give these other, the combat action badge, basically, is nothing more than just a glorified bayonet for an EIB or a CIB. Yeah. I don't think, it's part of that whole everybody needs to be included culture, and it's like, okay, fine, whatever, have that. It's like whenever they gave everybody in the Army black berets. The Rangers were pissed off about it because they took the black beret away from the Rangers and gave them tan berets.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm of the old school mentality is that you want a beret, earn it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's some people.
Well, it's like the tabs and non-tabs too.
Yeah, there's a difference between tab wearers and tab bearers.
Yeah.
You get these guys that are cocky, arrogant, think that they're hot shit. They walk around and they have their tabbed out, and it's like, you just wear the tab and you act. You don't personify what it really means to wear that tab.
Yeah.
Then you get the guys that bear those tabs, and it's like, they're different.
Yeah.
But in a very good, calm, cool, collected, lethal manner.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that you really want to avoid.
Yeah, because I had a guy that was hanging out with, and we were doing paintball together and everything. He was like, I was in a Ranger battalion, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I met a friend of mine that actually had a tab and everything, Ranger, and he came with us to go play paintball together. And he's like, he was a Ranger? Oh, okay. I'll need to go talk to him. And for like 5 minutes, he talked to him, and he came back, and I was like, yeah, he was in the Rangers, but he didn't have a fucking tab. And I'm like, what's that? And it took me a while to understand what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, because you get guys that get assigned to Ranger battalions, and they're like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm a Ranger.
And they could do the whole 4 years.
Yeah.
Or whatever time frame they're in service.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's like
but they're more support, isn't it?
No, I mean, you can get, your Because really, you don't go to Ranger school until at least you're E4 or E4 promotable status.
Okay.
So I mean, you'll get guys that like E1 through E3. They'll go to Ranger battalions as a grunt, and they'll do Ranger shit. But until you go to Ranger school and you graduate, technically not a Ranger. Yeah. You know, I mean, I know that the wrong person, somebody eventually is going to hear this and they're going to be like, well, fuck that guy. But like, yeah, okay, you know what? Whatever, I was airborne qualified, but I was in an air assault unit. I was an air assault soldier.
Yeah.
So, it's like I wasn't an air assault soldier until I went to air assault school, and I graduated air assault school, you'll get those guys that'll talk about, infantrymen that served during peacetime are just salty pugs. Like, no, we still had to go. We had to train to do that job, and
you still had humanitarian aid stuff to go on.
I
mean,
there was
technically,
you were still missions there to do.
Yeah, technically, Black Hawk Down was still in peacetime.
Yeah, I mean, I think they got a CIV for that though.
Yeah,
but
or Operation what was it, Eagle Claw? It was during the Clinton administration.
Talking about.
And it happened in 98, I believe, around the September time frames, because I was in boot camp when it happened, and they thought we were going to go to war because of that stuff.
I think I remember what you're talking about.
But I just can't remember the name of it, and the only reason why I really know is because of the bomber group that I was attached to.
Yeah.
They went over there and just dropped a couple of bombs and came back, and that was the end of the incursion.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as being infantry, I wouldn't give it up for anything in the world, at all. I mean, it doesn't make me any better of a person than the next guy, but it just means that I'm able to look at the world through a different prism.
Yeah.
And just the same thing with any other infantryman, whether they be Marine or Army. We look at the world a different way. We didn't sign up for the infantry because we're different. We signed up for the infantry because everybody else is. Yeah. And what you do with your career, regardless as to what MOS you pick or have assigned to you. I mean, your career is going to be what you make of it, and what effect you have on the Army is from a long-lasting standpoint. Again, that is on you. Yeah. If you run into a situation as a lower enlisted soldier where you've got toxic leaders, you keep your head down, you push through that, and you vow to yourself, and you teach yourself, how to be a better leader. Yeah. And if you want to affect change, if you want something done right, do it yourself. And eventually, people start to sit up and they'll start to take notice, and you'll get into situations where people will come to you for advice, come to you for guidance, and then it is your responsibility, wholly your responsibility, to be that change, to be that effective leadership. Because you can be a leader, like we discussed earlier. You can be a leader, and you can be a piece of shit. But if you lead, and you lead from the front, and you don't do anything that you wouldn't be willing to ask your men to do, and you abide by those 3 M's of men, mission, myself, you're going to leave a lasting impression with that guy that just came in off the block. And you may be the reason why he wants to stay in, because he wants to be a leader like you. Versus you get these guys that come in and they got these shitbag NCOs that, look down on you because your run times aren't where they think they need them, where you need them to be. We lose a lot of the effectiveness of our fighting force just because we're having to wage a battle of attrition amongst our ranks. Yeah. It's like you want somebody to stay there. You want somebody to excel. You want somebody to help make the Army more lethal, more effective as a deterrent and a fighting force. Give the people below, that you're placed in charge of, that you're responsible for, give them the resources necessary to get that job done. Otherwise you're going to turn out nothing but hundreds of thousands of bro vets and these entitled dickheads that walk out, they think, oh, where's my military discount? Like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it took me
about that.
It took me just recently just to ask for that.
If it's like a big ticket item, yeah, I'll be like, hey, do you guys offer military discount?
No. Auto parts.
I with the auto parts, yeah, but you know how when you like with Lowe's and auto, like auto parts stores, you give them that phone number and they've already asked that question. They usually put that in.
Yeah.
But auto parts, yeah, fine. Lowe's, yeah, absolutely. I love saving that 10%, but for the most part, I really don't care.
Yeah.
Like they used to offer those free meals on Veterans Days. Like when we had our Golden Corral before they closed it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, are you a veteran? Yeah. Okay. Go and eat for free. Sure, fine. That's not why I signed up. It's not what I, did it for.
I view that totally different though. Going up to Golden Corral, the only reason why I really love doing it is because it gets so compact. You have to sit with somebody else.
Yeah.
And I love their stories.
Yeah.
I did it once, and I was like, all right, we'll get a free food. And then I did it and started hanging out with other people, other branches and everything. And the stories are just great.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm really wanting you to come back out to the American Legion is, because we've got, like, because when we were here earlier, last couple of weeks ago with Marissa, was talking about how veterans are a national resource, and we need to get that history.
Yeah.
Because Winston Churchill said, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
And it's like you're missing such a huge portion of American history by not engaging with these veterans. Whether they served in peacetime or they served on the front lines or they served in a combat area, it doesn't matter. They've got a unique perspective on things that occurred during the course of our country's history.
Yeah.
Because whether or not they were the ones that pulled the trigger on bin Laden, or they were the guy that found Saddam Hussein in the spider hole, it doesn't fucking matter. You're looking at history through a very unique perspective.
Yeah, especially the ones that actually was there.
Yeah, like I can't, like if you try to find books on World War II, like especially like the European theater, or even let's just specify the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah.
Or Bastogne. Okay. No two books are written the same. Everybody who writes those books, they interview different people who were there, and I'm a firm believer that if you're going to learn through saturation.
Yeah.
The more and more you immerse yourself.
A lot of people don't even remember the situations that the person that was like right next to him that actually. It was like, no, this is what happened, and you get the whole, hey, I missed the helicopter crash from Rabonil.
Yeah, and it's like, because everybody's got their own field of fire,
Yeah.
So, but
eyes on what happened.
Yeah. So I mean, we get those different perspectives, and we get those overlapping perspectives, and you're able to generate an eyewitness account of what actually happened, because you get some history professor in Harvard, Yale, or whatever other universities here backstage side who weren't even alive when the damn battle happened. They're trying to write the definitive history of XYZ.
Yeah. And a lot of people they're almost gone.
Yeah, and we're losing, I think, what is it, like a couple of thousand World War II veterans a day?
Yeah.
I think the last World War I veteran just died like last year. Or we might have one or two left.
No.
No, actually, no, we don't, because they're all gone.
Yeah, they're all gone.
They're all gone. And so, and it's like with this Mars Perseverance rover thing that we just landed on Mars, we had those really cool camera angles now for the first time.
Yeah, the 360.
Oh,
and
during
sound.
the landing. Yeah, and
sound.
I make it a point. I'm like, hey, I'm showing my boys this because, like, I want them to remember.
Yeah.
Like, this is fucking cool. Like, to them, this is the man landing on the moon.
Yeah.
Like, I remember where I was when 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
I
had the shittiest story.
Yeah, I was at work. I almost got fired because my boss thought that I was kidding whenever I told her we were under attack, and this was before the second plane hit.
I was playing video games. We were doing an exercise, so I was supposed to. Basically, it was known that the base would be shut down for the exercise.
Yeah.
So I still thought we were on exercise, and I was playing video games.
And see, I went into a recruiting office.
Oh, wow.
I went into a recruiting office to re-enlist, and some E7 wouldn't even give me the fucking time of day. Didn't turn around, didn't say shit. And I'm sitting there watching over his shoulder. I mean, I'm talking mad shit to this guy. I'm like, dude, you get off of your fucking ass and come do your job. You know, I want to go back to the 101st. I want to go back to the infantry. Send me back to no slack. You know, it would have been just easy. Just hey, boom, 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 boom. Because at that point,
a lot of people have that story. They wanted to go back in,
what
but
the fuck is a waiver? You know.
Yeah.
But this guy wouldn't turn around. You know, and I watched the second plane hit. Right there in his office. And he just refused to acknowledge me. So I'm like, all right, fuck it, whatever, man. So I went back to work, and you know.
And probably about a week later, you got a phone call.
No, I didn't actually.
Oh, really?
I kept trying to get re-enlisted, and they just, you know, they either too busy because they had people trying to sign up, or you know, whatever. Eventually, waivers became an issue, and I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. So I just kind of chalked it up as, you know, maybe God was trying to tell me that this wasn't supposed to be my fight. And which is fine, because, you know, the way that my life kind of worked out is, you know, here I am 2 divorces later, and I've got amazing kids. And, you know, if I'd have gotten back in, stayed in, you know, I wouldn't have my 2 youngest boys. I wouldn't have my 11-year-old and my 9-year-old.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you know, in hindsight being 2020, whatever you want to call it, you know, my life would be irrevocably different and considerably more lacking if I didn't have my 2 kids. Yeah. You know, my 2 youngest boys. You know, so, you know, it's nice to be able to sit back and kind of look at things through that prism, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I can not necessarily rest on my laurels, but just kind of look back and say, you know what? Yeah, I was an infantryman in the Army. I was a paratrooper. I was an air assault guy. You know, and I served with, again, like I said at the beginning of this episode, that I served with some of the best degenerates I've ever had the pleasure of meeting in my entire life.
It's usually what happens in situations like that, though.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we can give each other shit, and we check on each other, and, you know, I mean, we chat, you know, not as often as I would like, but, you know, we still talk. And, you know, I mean, we've got our lives, and we've all moved on past that, but we can all look back.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of reminisce about when shit was a lot easier, you know. And really, we had each other to kind of lean on, fight with, you know, hang out with, you know, the guy, one of my guys that I mentioned earlier, Chris Wells, he was one of my roommates. We got into a couple of fist fights in our room, you know, and over some of the stupidest shit, you know, but.
Was it pubic hair on one of the bars of soap or something like that?
No, it was usually involving a girl, but.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, and there was, I think maybe there was a few fights that had been, you know, alcohol fueled, but whatever. But, you know, we're all basically family. I mean, we're extended family at this point, but still it's family. So it's like, if somebody's going through something, we post it on Facebook, and it's like, you know, either the thread will light up on that, or, you know, DMs will light up, you know, hey, if there's anything I can do, if there's anything I can do, you know, we're still out there looking out for each other. We're still willing to go out and go that extra mile for each other because of our experiences, because of who we were back then, and even who we are now. Because we wouldn't be who we are now without being in the infantry. And, you know, do I suggest the infantry? You're damn absolutely right, I do. You know, but is it for everybody? No, it's not. So make sure that my phone is going crazy.
Yeah.
But
we're gonna wrap it up right now.
Yeah. So make sure that, you know, make sure you do some soul searching, and if this is something that you want to do, absolutely pick the infantry. You know, it's gonna have its bad days, just like every other job in the world. You're gonna have to put up with a lot of bullshit, But at the end of the day, when you look back on your life, you're going to be absolutely proud of the fact that you served as an infantryman, either in the Marine Corps or the Army.
Yeah.
You know, and it all goes back to that esprit de corps. It all goes back to that camaraderie. You know, that really just, it's only bred through places like the infantry. You know, I mean, I don't hear about a lot of cooks or a lot of truck drivers or, you know, a lot of like chemical guys or commo guys that sit there and hang out with other commo guys and talk about the old days, you know. But you see a lot of infantrymen, you see a lot of sailors especially, you know, because they're in those confined spaces, those confined quarters, those environments that force that cohesiveness.
Yeah, I had a talk with a submariner.
Yeah, so I mean,
And
like
I
my
was
dad,
like-
you know, my dad, I mean, he was on several ships, but like he could sit there and probably name off 3 or 4 good close friends from each of the ships that he ever served on. You know, about how they would like get in trouble at the bars in like the Philippines or Hong Kong or whatever, you know. But
Or Keesler.
but you know,
That was a funny one.
you get, you know, you get that closeness, that, you know, that cohesiveness from the infantry that you're just not going to experience anywhere else.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've always. I really wish I had contact with a lot of people that was from my unit, but I just don't. And it,
Dude, Facebook is a wonderful tool, man.
I've tried.
Yeah, well, see, we set up an alumni page.
Yeah.
For our company, and you know, and that's honestly that's how we found out that Captain Tipton had been killed in Iraq. Because we were trying to get the guys from each of the platoons from the company from that time period that we were there, and a lot of people were asking about Captain Tipton, and somebody found his memorial page, and I'm telling you, man, when that news was disseminated, it hit like a ton of bricks, dude. I physically broke down and cried, you know, because I'm like, this was a soldier here.
Yeah.
And a lot of us are still friends with his widow on Facebook. Every May 2nd, which is the anniversary of his KIA date, you know, a lot of us will post our memorial bands as our profile picture for that day. And she's incredibly humbled by the fact that even years after he died in 2004, years after we've served with him, years after he's died, you know, after he died, you know, we're going on 10 plus years now. You know, it's almost 20 years since he's died. That he still has that effect on the men that he served with. And, you know, it's that kind of a thing, you know. It's like, I want to be remembered that way, you know. I want to be remembered like that, you know, like that by my kids, by my friends, by my family. I want to be remembered the way that Captain Tipton's being remembered, you know, because he set that example for us.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, he was an artilleryman when he was in Desert Storm as a lower enlisted guy. He got out, became an officer, and felt that he could do a better job to help the Army improve as an infantry officer. And everybody to the man that served under him and served with him as an infantryman was better for it. And that's the kind of thing that a lot of guys that join the infantry, they aspire to, is to come out better because of the people that you're with.
Yeah.
And I was just lucky to have served with one of the best human beings that I've ever had the honor of serving with. In fact, he and I we earned our expert infantry badges together. You know, so I mean, that's something that I can carry around with me, and you know, and it helps get me through those days. You know, when just like it's just rough. You know, like because you look back and you think and you remember and you start to miss that. You start to miss those guys, and you start to miss the people that you know are not with us anymore. And you remember those good experiences, and you remember just who they were. And what was it? General Patton said that we shouldn't mourn those who have died, but we should celebrate those who, you know, we should celebrate them because they lived.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, I mean, that's really, that encapsulates a lot of it, you know, for, you know, combat MOSs just in general, or even just in life. You know, is the fact that, yeah, well, they may not have been the greatest human being 100% of their lives. You got to experience them at their peak.
Yeah.
You know, and it affected you in such a positively powerful way that, you know, you try to mold yourself after them or after your image of them. And, you know, and it's, I don't know, it's hard to articulate that into words without sounding like I'm like stumbling and bumbling and repeating myself at some points. But, you know, I mean, that for me, that's what being in the infantry was about, was the esprit de corps, was the brotherhood, the camaraderie, and just being able to look at the people that you served with and served under, and finding the, you know, yeah, you got to experience the darkest that human nature has to offer, but you also got to see the best.
Yeah.
And that's what you're looking for, is in looking to aspire to, because you want to be able to pass that on, because you don't want that legacy to die.
Yeah.
You know, so I take some of the things that I learned from him and some of the other great leaders that I had the opportunity to serve with, and I use that to help myself mold my kids, because I want them to be better than I was, just like my dad wanted me to be better than he was. You know, so I mean, if we're not, as a parent, not looking to have our children be better than we were, then sign your rights off and just go somewhere else, because you're just wasting that kid's time, and you're really just doing a disservice to human, you know, to the human race in general. Take the best that you've ever seen in human nature and apply that, and you're going to see that more times than not, you know, through the military, specifically the infantry, because, you know, we're placed into situations where we have to be our best, and when you get to see those darkest moments, it's because you're being reminded that we're in fact not bulletproof.
Yeah,
we're human beings. So, but man, this was a lot of fun today.
Yeah,
it really got away from us. We've been sitting here.
It really did.
4 hours.
4 hours. Glad I don't edit that much.
Right.
But I'm David Dickerman. This is Jack Skelton. And John. Jack. Oh man, I am horrible at names.
Just like John Kennedy was Jack Kennedy, but no, this is Johnny Skelton.
Yeah. And this is What the Hell. We'll talk to you later.
Oh, what the hell, man.